Hey guys, it's Pete Ristow with UpLync Communications. I've been doing this for a long time now, and as a salesperson, I hear a lot of objections. I hear a lot of reasons why you can't do X, Y, or Z. You know, that changing the phone system is something that oftentimes business owners will drag their feet on, unless there's an immediate need for that. A friend of mine who's a plumber and I have a running joke where no one really wants to talk about our services until there's an emergency. I'll let you fill in the blanks there. But I wanted to talk through some of the common misconceptions about switching phone systems that often will cause people to drag their feet. Um, and that can be a whole variety of things. The biggest one, the one that always comes up first, is cost. People assume it's going to cost them a fortune to change their phone system. This is not always true. It oftentimes is not now. The cost of a phone system has been brought down dramatically with the advent of VoIP technology and going back and looking at old phone systems versus newer phone systems, the cost is dramatically different in terms of structure, in terms of actual price of the equipment. It's really probably not as expensive as you think it's going to be. The next one I always hear is there's going to be a disruption to my business. I can't handle that. Well, nobody can. That's why the industry has really adapted. We've caught up to that in terms of the way that UpLync does things. We'll come in and install the new system right next to the old system. Our installer is really good at staying out of the way. He's a good guy. But when we do that, you can then put in a port request, and when you put in the port request the way that it should be, you really should have no more than anywhere between 10 and 30 seconds downtime total. So it's really not as disruptive as it once was. The other thing that I hear all the time is the complexity of the phone system. It's going to be such a big new thing that we're going to have to train everybody on, and it's going to take time and energy. And trying to understand this thing is going to be challenging. And sometimes that can be true. That definitely can be true sometimes. Depends on what kind of vendor you're working with. If you're working with somebody that's just going to ship you a box full of phones and give you a login portal, then yeah, that might be challenging. What we do at UpLync a little bit different is we send our installer in to do the install, and then he hangs around for the rest of the day and makes sure that everyone knows what they're doing, does in services and trainings when they need to happen. And then we have a variety of other videos here on YouTube that'll help people walk through the basic functions of their phones and those kind of things too. So we really try to make sure that this particular point is handled a bit differently here than it's handled in other places, because sometimes this can be true. The next one I always hear is this current system is working well enough. It's working just fine. I cannot tell you the number of times in the last however many years I've been doing this that someone has told me this very thing, and then that weekend a lightning storm took out their phone system. It is uncanny. It happens all the time. And yeah, so it might be working well enough now. But I think there's another aspect to this too, though, besides just the physical function of the phone system. A lot of times people can miss out on some of the nuances of having a really dated phone system versus something that's more modern. More modern phone systems allow you to take advantage of a lot more options and new ways of answering calls, being able to do some of these things. It can really help you streamline your organization, and you could be being hampered by a particular phone system functioning the way that it does. So, yeah, the phone system might be working well enough now, but A, it could be working way better, and B, you don't know how long that's going to happen, depending on what kind of backups you have in place. Another one is always the fear of the unknown. This is something you don't know what you don't know. This is something that's always going to be there. It's always going to be present. But this is really where UpLync tries to be different from other vendors in the area as well. One of the things that we really do is we try to build relationships with our customers. We're a very relational company. And if there's a certain level of trust that is there, then realistically, that fear of the unknown shouldn't happen. The other thing here is there's a certain level of clarity and communication that's very important. Making sure that we're fully transparent in why we're doing and what we're doing and when we're doing it really helps go a long way in quelling that fear. Another thing I always hear is that there's no time to prepare. There's no time to set up for this install to make sure, like, it's another area where UpLync does things differently. We make sure that we do most of the front end work. We don't put a lot of that on you guys. There is some paperwork that needs to be filled out at the beginning of things, but other than that, we guide you through that too. But other than that, we do almost everything. And then the last thing I hear all the time is security concerns. Maybe not all the time. I do hear it sometimes, depending on the customer. It can be really important, depending on what kind of data they're working with, how sensitive their organization is. This can become more of a thing, but security concerns can be a thing. I made a video recently talking about a conference phone that was used as a backdoor entryway into someone's network and caused all kinds of havoc. Um, and that can happen. And a big thing that's important here is making sure that A, your vendor has secure servers, and B, making sure that your IT person has set up your network in a way that it's already secure as well. In the event that it's all set up correctly, the phone should never be an entry point for your system. So that can be a thing that needs to be dealt with. But that's one of the reasons that we build big relationships with a lot of the IT providers that we work with, because we want to make sure we're on the same page. We want to make sure we're providing the best possible outcome for our customers. And so working together is the way that we do that. But by addressing a lot of these, I'm hoping I gave you a better understanding of the true costs and the benefits of making an upgrade. And, maybe if this is something that you've been tossing around for a while, maybe it's time to do something about it. And if that's what you're at and that's what you're thinking, you want to be able to leverage your system, your technology to its full potential. You have a system that's maybe 20, 30 years old. It's time to make a change. I am more than happy to have a discussion with you about that, even if it's just from a consulting perspective. I would love to help out and do what we can there. So feel free to reach out to me here. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. There's a whole variety of platforms that I'm on. I should not be hard to find if I'm doing my job correctly. So please try to reach out to me wherever you can. Our website's probably the best place to go for those kind of things. And yeah, thanks. Have a great day.